Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to episode number 67 of the Cleveland Spiders franchise here at MLB The Show 21. Today we have ended the month of May, so we're going to go back and recap everything that happened in the previous month, take a look at the standings, take a look at some team stats as well as some player stats, and see who's killing it so far in the league in this live comm episode. So if you're excited for this one, make sure you drop a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. Now you can see the Cleveland Spiders, we currently sit 30-20 going into June. That's the best team in the American League, but it's a lot closer now because the White Sox have picked up their play, and so have the Twins. They're a game and a half and two and a half games back apiece. Now taking a look at the month of May, we got off to a very slow start to begin, but we've picked it up in the past couple of weeks, and we finished the month of May at 500, 14-14. Our AAA squad, the Columbus Clippers, they sit 27-16. That's because they went 17-9 in the month of May, doing very good down there in Columbus. Then our AA, their very first month of the season, they sit at 9-10. So we'll see how that compares to the standings now, shall we? So take a look around the league. In the American League East, the Yankees lead that division 30-21. The Red Sox 5 games back as they start to separate themselves. We lead the Central, followed by the White Sox, Twins. Tigers have kind of dropped a little bit, losing 5 and 8 of their past 10, and the Royals sitting dead last. In the West, it's the Angels who top that division. The Astros all the way down there at 23-27, despite making it to the World Series last year, but they're only 5.5 out, so it's everybody's division out there in the West. For the wild card, you got the White Sox, the Mariners are the top two, but the Twins are very closely behind, and then you got the Athletics. In the National League, the Mets lead the NL East, who saw them make a bunch of moves in the offseason, and it looks like they're paying off, sitting 38-13. The Phillies, who were the hottest team to start the year, they've kind of taken a step back, but still sit a very respectable 31-17. In the Central, it's still a dogfight in that division, 26-22 is the Cubs. Nobody really standing out. Cardinals bouncing back, they're 25-23 a game out. The Reds a game and a half. Remember, they made it to the ALCS just a year ago. Then out west, the Dodgers lead that division 29-21, not as dominant as we've seen. They've kind of slumped in their past 10, and the Padres are only a half game out, followed by the Diamondbacks at 3. As far as the wild card, it's Phillies and Braves, so the 3 NL East teams would make the division, and then you got the Padres at 1.5. Let's take a look at the players of the month in the month of May. Starting off in the American League, Jose Barrios gets it for the Twins with a perfect 5-0 with a 2.82 ERA. Player of the month was Vlad Guerrero Jr., hit 9 homers with a 3.63 average. And Rookie of the month is Brandon Marsh of the Angels, 2.89 average, 4 homers and 15 RBIs. For the National League, Marcus Stroman of the Mets gets it. He also 5-0, except a 1.02 ERA in his 6 appearances. Juan Soto hit 3.69 and 21 for the Nationals. And then Chad De La Guerra gets it for the Pittsburgh Pirates, who hit 5 homers and batted in 18. Now we'll go to the team stats. We didn't take a look at this last monthly recap, but we're 2 months in, so it's starting to kind of flesh itself out. Batting average, the Yankees and the Mets are the top 2 teams in baseball. We currently have the 9th best with a 2.53 average. As far as runs scored, we are 12th, so we've dropped a little bit. And then we go to home runs, which was where I was worried about, and we sit tied for 18th with the Orioles. So I was afraid this would drop off a little bit. Naylor does lead our team, but without Franmil Reyes, we have taken a hit in that department. Slugging wise, if you include just overall best swinging slugging, where is slugging? There it is, slugging. We are 17th, so the bats are starting to dip a little bit. To the pitching side of things, ERA, we've kind of struggled in May with our ERA, and we've dropped down to 10th. We have been a top 5 pitching team all series long, and I think, with the loss to Bieber, we have definitely taken a step back, and that's kind of to be expected. Runs allowed, we are tied for 9th, so that's a little better, but this is where we're getting killed. Home runs allowed, we are tied for 19th with the Twins. Now, if you remember back to my Astros series, part of the reason why we never got over the humps because we gave up a lot of homers. That is starting to rear its ugly head here in this series as well, so hopefully we can get that corrected. But for win percentage wise, we're still the best team in the American League, despite saying all that, with a 600 win percentage. And 3 of the top 4 teams are all on that NL East division. That is a dogfight, to say the least. Now the player stats, where we usually spend the majority of the episode. I'm going to start with our position players, as we'll go to the catcher spot to start behind home plate. Austin Hedges has actually gotten the majority of the games played. He's only hitting a $184 though. I would like a better backup catcher. You just can't really find one. I might try to look at one in trade, but Hedges does do a good job defensively, so he'll at least be around for this season. Roberto Perez, who signed that $12.5 million contract for 1 year in the offseason, he's only hitting $228. That's actually worse than he was a season ago. He's kind of flatlining. Still a phenomenal defensive catcher. Look at those ratings. Everything minus his arm is a 97 or higher. But showing the first signs of regression. Just not somebody who's going to wow you at the plate. Once I can get a replacement for Perez, I probably will move on, but I don't think it'll be this year. At first base, it's been Josh Naylor. He's been the man who has stepped up, hitting .290, leads the team with 10 homers, 30 RBIs, almost already at his home run cap from last year, and his slugging has gone way up to .568. So Josh Naylor has stepped up. When we get Reyes back, I think Reyes, Ramirez, and Naylor will be a great 3 from 3 to 5. Second base is Donovan Solano. He has been hitting phenomenally, but it has dropped. He was up to about like a 380, but now he's come back down to earth. But he's still hitting above 300, 331. That leads the team in that category. He is always a threat when he's hitting, and he's been a very good signing since coming over from the Giants. Third base, Jose Ramirez, who has been in a slump. He's only hitting .214. He does have 8 homers, but especially in a contract year, I would expect Jose Ramirez to be hitting better than that. I don't think you have to worry about Ramirez being traded. I have no, desire to trade Ramirez unless we just completely bomb the month of June going into the All-Star break. But I think Jose Ramirez will be around for the rest of the season. Shortstop has been Andres Jimenez, who is arguably our player of April, but this month he's hitting only .248. He's gone to a cold streak. I don't think he hit any home runs this month, as he got out to a quick 4 and then hasn't hit one since. So hopefully he can get back up. Hit 22 a season ago. I thought that was an outlier, but start of the season maybe think otherwise, but now I'm starting to get back into that mindset. To the outfield, left fielder has been Eddie Rosario, who has stepped up his play. He's been a .210 hitter for most of this year, but now he's up to .248. We had a great series, or a great last episode against both the Athletics and the Tigers, as he's hit a lot of home runs recently, gotten his RBI total to 24, and that's what I'd like to see as we signed him back for that 1-year deal. Like to see his slugging go back up, as he's hitting a career low in that category, but hopefully he's on the right track. Ahmed Rosario, our center fielder, who's usually been our leadoff hitter for about all of the series, but recently has been knocked down to the 2 spot because of Solano. That's because he's hitting .230. Starting to finally get that average up a little bit, but as long as he's progressing, 26 years old, A potential, has a great outfield arm. He has been very good defensively, which is not what I expected, but if you look at his ratings, that really shouldn't surprise you. But Rosario, hopefully he continues that upward trend as well. Right field has been a platoon, but it's been Adam Eaton getting the majority of the playing time with 37 games. He's hit .264, 6 homers, 19 RBIs. He's been a very good pickup since coming over from the White Sox. And obviously he splits time with Jordan Luplow, who is against left-handed pitching, and he's also stepped it up. He was hitting below 200. He's now hitting .243, has 5 homers, which, he's playing a lot less games, so to be expected. DH has been kind of a split, but the man who's gotten a lot of the DH recently is Owen Miller. That's because he's hitting .297. Our backup utility infielder has stepped up. Now he doesn't hit home runs, but he at least gets on base. .297 average. That's very, very good. That's actually second best on the team if you include him, which I would because he gets a lot of playing time. In terms of who is on the bench, Bradley Zimmer is hitting .256. He's cooled off a little bit. I like to see him get more playing time, but we just got such a logjam in the outfield. There's just not a lot of space for him. And then you got Jake Bowers, who's played in 5 games. He's hot, which is good, but saw him hit that home run in his very first game this season. But he hasn't really gotten a big chance to shine yet, but he at least provides some power off of the bench. Going over to the pitching side of things, starting with a rotation, we'll start off by just going down the list. And that's Aaron Savali to start. He's stepped up to be the ace. His ERA has been below 2 for a lot of the season, but now it's jumped up to 2.37, so he's had a couple of rough outings, but he is still definitely the ace of this season, especially with Bieber being done for. Savali has done a very good job of stepping up, doing his best he can to replace a 2-time Cy Young and MVP winner. Second man in the starting rotation is actually Zach Plesac now. His ERA has jumped up to a 4.19, not having as good of a season this year as he did in 2020. As you see, his ERA is up a full 1 point, and his WHIP is up just 0.1. But Savali hasn't been nearly as impressive. 3-7 in his 11 starts. Now, obviously, that's not everything, but as you can see from last season, he hasn't got the best run support anyway, but I'd like to see Plesac kind of drop that sub-4 again like he's been his whole career. The 3-man in the rotation is Logan Allen. He's up to a 4.06 ERA. 2021 might have been a fluke. I don't think you're going to get 3.12 Logan Allen, but I do think a 4 ERA Logan Allen is kind of what you're going to get, which, you know, with his play, can't really ask for more. He is 23. He's at least still improving with his A potential. So as long as he's not suffering any setbacks, that's fine. The 4-man is now Tristan McKenzie, and he's at a 5.70 ERA now. Hasn't been playing good. Didn't play good last year either. I've been very patient with McKenzie, but, you know, if you're going to have a 5.70 ERA, maybe we should send him down to AAA. I do think he would maybe benefit from going down. He has his minor league options. Maybe just give him a chance to improve his stuff. As you can see, he's not getting a lot of progression yet. So maybe we take a look at moving him down. Maybe trade for another pitcher, because we're just very thin at starting pitching. That's part of the reason why I haven't sent him down yet, is I don't really know who I'd call up. But McKenzie, I like to see a little bit more development from him. And then now our newest number 5 is Charlie Morton, acquired 2 episodes ago via trade from the Braves. We saw him make his first start last episode. 38 years old. He's not going to be more than just a stopgap for this season. ERA is at 2.08. He's only made 3 starts. Had a good debut for us. His second start for us, he only went a third of an inning as he got hurt, bruised his hand. He might miss 1 start, which is what I worry about a little bit, especially since he is 38 years old. But if he can just kind of anchor us down at the back end of the rotation this year, that's all I really ask for Charlie Morton. In terms of relief pitchers, Nick Whitgren has been the most used one. His ERA is at a 2.05, which is high considering I feel like just a few episodes ago is at a 0.5. So our bullpen has also started to struggle a little bit. Whitgren, though, has been our go-to man. He will continue to be our go-to man. Scott Alexander, a lefty out of the pen. He comes in those late inning lefty-lefty matchups, and he's done a very good job. 1.38 ERA. He's done his role. Phil Maton, 3.74, having a better 2022 than he did last year, excuse me. So he kind of comes in. He's a right-hander we can use in the middle innings. Emmanuel Clase has really struggled. Clase did very good last year before going down with a head fracture, and this year he hasn't really been able to recoup that same magic. He's up to a 6 ERA. Maybe he also, like McKenzie, would benefit from going down to AAA. Maybe he's just still trying to knock off the rust. He's pitched 27 innings. Maybe some time down at AAA to get his groove back might be the best thing for him. Cal Quantrill we have called up to kind of help us out, and he's done a pretty decent job. 1.54 ERA through his 11 2/3 innings pitched so far. Tony Watson, another lefty we signed from the Angels in a 1-year deal to kind of help us out. He started off very good. His ERA is at 1.66, which is good, but he had like a 0 ERA for his first 15 innings. So recently he's kind of taken a tumble, and you can see that in his regression. He's dropping, and he's dropping fast. So I don't know what that actually means for Tony Watson's future. Maybe we trade him while his stock is probably the highest it's going to be. I don't know, because we could also use some depth in the relief pitching game as well. Jordan Hicks, another guy who's been fantastic. He's been that 8th inning setup man, 0.49 ERA. Easily the best bullpen arm we have. He's been wonderful since coming over last year in that trade with St. Louis. And then lastly, James Karinchak, who has 17 saves on the season despite a 4.58 ERA. In my opinion, those don't match up. 4.58 ERA, 17 saves, only 2 blown saves. I guess we have a pretty good lead going into the 9th inning, because with those numbers, I feel like he would have blown more than 2 saves. The thing that does concern me, though, he is dropping it overall. His walks per 9 has gone down, and his 99K per 9 has gone down too. His home runs has gotten a little better, as well as his control, but at 26 years old with A potential, I don't know if Karinchak's really be regressing, so hopefully he can turn around his season as well. So that'll do it for this episode. Just kind of recap what's going on. The Spiders still sit pretty. Next week, though, is going to be draft week on the channel, as I said to this point, because it is the draft day. So I'm going to do one more episode before the draft, just kind of get some draft previews, show you some of the prospects that aren't blue chippers, because we probably won't get a blue chip prospect considering how late we pick in the draft. But I'll show you some other prospects, maybe some people we might pick up in the late rounds. And then next week we'll also have the 2022 MLB draft, as well as the 2022 NFL draft. So it is definitely draft week next week on the channel. Hope you're excited for that one. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.